Today is the first time we hear from the psychiatrist who treated Elian on Saturday and witnessed the reunion here at the Air Force Base firsthand. These are the latest pictures of Elian and his family at Andrews Air Force Base, and Elian continues to look like a happy child. And according to Dr. Gustavo Cadavid, he is happy. Cadavid is a psychiatrist who treated Elian on board the flight from Homestead to Washington. After boarding the plane, Elian was understandably upset.
He opens the window and then asks, you know, when could he see his relatives in Miami? His uncle, his cousin. And then we told him, well, it's going to be depending on what your father and you want. But right now, we're going to Washington.
But once the plane arrived at Andrews Air Force Base, Elian immediately recognized his father.
And he was asking me, well, where's my father? And suddenly we stopped. Father comes off. Starts waving at him, smiling. Didn't say anything. But you could see his face, how happy he was.
The Miami family claims the pictures of the reunion are fakes, but Dr. Cadavid disagrees. He says the video of Elian saying that he did not want to return to Cuba was actually coached.
Seeing the child I had just been with and seeing those pictures, that's the kid. That's exactly, I don't know what she's talking about, to be honest.
We are in Washington. We're in his territory now, and he shouldn't be frightened to meet with us.
The Miami family is still fighting for a reunion of their own with Elian, but Juan Miguel has refused to meet. The White House continues to defend the decision to pull Elian out of the Miami home.
The most important thing is that they're given the time as a family away from the glare of the media and all of those who have their own political agendas.
And Dr. Cadavid also tells us that he thinks this is the first time that Elian has some peace in his life to where he can begin dealing with the loss of his mother. In the meantime, the Miami family says today that starting tomorrow, they will begin more efforts to meet with Juan Miguel and Elian here at Andrews Air Force Base. Reporting live, I'm Jack Cambrick, CBS 4 News.
And right now, we'd like to know what you think about efforts by Elian's South Florida family to see him.
Our exclusive CBS 4 telepoll asks, do you think Elian's Miami family should be allowed to see him? To vote yes, call 1-900-737-0401. To vote no, you can call 1-900-737-0402. Remember, each call will cost you 50 cents, and we'll have initial polling results for you beginning on CBS 4 News at 6. Now, you can also weigh in on the Elian controversy in general by calling our viewer comment line at 305-639-4669. You can leave a message there. We'll have some of those comments at 5:30. Meantime, tonight we're learning more about the minutes leading up to the raid on Elian's house and these dramatic pictures. Border Patrol agents breaking into Elian's Miami home even as attorneys were negotiating with the Justice Department. Tonight, the mediators involved are telling their story. CBS 4's Jim Bergamo is live in Coral Gables with more for us. Jim.
Angela, those community leaders and mediators, as you mentioned, are community leaders. They got a chance to talk about those 11th hour negotiations and what exactly happened leading up to the final hour. Saturday morning seemed like so many others before. Elian Gonzalez's South Florida relatives had been threatened with a deadline by Attorney General Janet Reno, and the family continued negotiations. The routine seemed so familiar that Elian's great uncle Lazaro wasn't even awakened until the final deadline had passed. But as attorney Aaron Pothurst and the rest of the country was about to learn, Saturday morning would be like no other. Pothurst was acting as the mediator between Reno and the South Florida relatives.
I do not agree that we weren't close to a settlement.
Here's a timeline of what happened in the final hours. 3 a.m. Pothurst strongly urges the Miami relatives to come to an agreement regarding a Washington meeting with Elian and his father because Reno tells Pothurst she's serious about the 4 a.m. deadline. Apparently, the sticking point wasn't whether to turn over custody of Elian, but where that transfer would take place.
The idea of a Miami-Dade location was first presented to the Attorney General on Thursday. And as of 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday, we had never heard any objections to the Miami-Dade location.
At 4 a.m., Pothurst informs Reno the South Florida lawyers are trying to convince Lazaro Gonzalez to meet with Elian's father in Washington.
I told him you cannot appropriately ignore the Attorney General of the United States. If she says Washington, then it's got to be Washington.
At 4:21 a.m., Reno tells Pothurst, you've got 5 minutes, not 6. Both sides continue to try to work out a deal. At 5 a.m., Reno tells Pothurst that the South Florida family has to make the boy available immediately. While the family thought the negotiations were continuing, Reno had already authorized the raid dubbed Operation Reunion. And at 5:15, armed Border Patrol agents forcibly make their way into the Little Havana home and remove a screaming Elian.
The Attorney General of the United States did not hang up on me when I shockingly saw the raid occur. That takes extraordinary courage on her part, because I'm not going to tell you what I told her in the next 10 minutes.
Now, University of Miami President Tad Foote was also on hand today, and he perhaps summed up the entire feelings best. He said, "We all deeply regret what happened, but it is time to move on. It's time to think of what's in the best interest of Elian now that he is in Washington, D.C., and it's time for our community to heal." Reporting live on the campus of the University of Miami in Coral Gables, Jim Bergamo, CBS 4 News.
Thank you, Jim. A familiar sight in the Elian Gonzalez drama, moving their protest from the Miami house to downtown Miami. More than 75 women from the group Mothers Against Repression gathering in front of the federal courthouse today. The women staged the silent vigil to protest the way Elian was forcibly removed from his home Saturday to be reunited with his father. A much more visible protest is now being bantered about on Cuban radio today. A work stoppage planned by leaders of the exile community for tomorrow. CBS 4's Ileana Varela is live in Little Havana right now with more on what businesses plan to close tomorrow. Ileana?
Elian, they're dubbing this stoppage Miami the Dead City. In other words, if enough people heed the call and don't go to work and don't open their businesses, this would resemble a dead city. However, there's no telling just how many people will heed that call. I can tell you it's already going beyond the Cuban-American community. For example, we're right in front of Brickell Honda. It is closing tomorrow, as is the dealership across the street, the Pontiac and GMC trucks, and this is an Italian-owned business. Also, it may very well have an effect on local government. For example, I'm going to read to you from a memo that went out from the Miami-Dade County Manager's Office to directors, department directors, quote, "In recognition of the work stoppage planned by Cuban-American leaders on Tuesday, April 25th, department directors have discretionary authority to grant annual leave to requesting employees. However, all county departments are to remain open and be capable of serving the public." In other words, they are assuring the public that department services like fire, police, water and sewage, all those departments will be business as usual, even though many other businesses will not.
There will be no fish on the grill tomorrow at Garcia's Seafood Grill. The popular Cuban-owned restaurant on the Miami River will be closed.
Yeah, I'm going to lose money, but I feel that our friends that come to our restaurant will support us on behalf of Elian.
Ramon Saul Sanchez, the civil disobedience advocate injured in the federal raid to seize Elian, called for Tuesday's work stoppage as a peaceful means for the community to express its outrage.
To send a strong message in protest for the violent raid of Elian Gonzalez's home, and also to express our concern regarding the government wanting to send Elian back to Cuba.
There is no way to know how many people will stay home from work, including city and county employees. But local officials assure us there will be no disruption of services.
First of all, we have told non-essential county employees who wish to participate in the work stoppage to check with their department directors, and we've given department directors wide latitude and discretion in allowing for this.
What we usually do, and we'll do tomorrow, is that we'll make do. If teachers are in short supply, we'll call in substitute teachers. If we need to double up classes and put classes together or put classes in the auditorium, we'll do that.
The work stoppage would likely have its biggest effect in the mostly Hispanic neighborhoods like Little Havana, where many businesses will close. Roberto Marrero is closing his radiator shop. Agustin Reyes' cafeteria won't be serving breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and Antonio Alberich won't be selling any insurance policies. All will take a hit in the pocket to protest what they deem an injustice.
We lose money, it's well lost. It's not important for us.
Now here's a list of some of the big businesses that have informed us they will be closing tomorrow. As I mentioned, Brickell Honda will be closed. Also, all branches of TerraBank, all Sedano supermarkets in both Miami-Dade and Broward, and Pan American CAC medical centers open for emergencies only. Live in Little Havana, Ileana Varela, CBS 4 News.
From Little Havana to Havana, Cuba.
CBS 4's Lucia Newman is live with a reaction from there. Lucia, have the pictures that have been seen here of the raid by the federal agents, have they been shown in Cuba, and what's the reaction to those pictures?
Good afternoon, Elliot and Angela. Indeed, the pictures have been shown. They've been widely broadcast on Cuban television. But unlike the reaction in Miami, the horror of a frightened little boy looking down a barrel of a gun, the picture that most Cubans are focusing on is of the happy face of Elian and his father being reunited again. Most Cubans say that that's the picture that really counts, that now Elian truly is happy and he's with the person he should have been with all along. Angela and Elliot?
Lucia, have we heard from other members of Elian's family in Cuba?
No, we haven't. They actually spoke yesterday. On Sunday, the grandmothers and others came out and they thanked rather on Saturday, I'm sorry, this weekend, they thanked the Cuban people and also the people of the United States for what they called their support in helping Elian be reunified with his father once again. But since then, they have not come out in public.
Okay, CNN's Havana Bureau Chief Lucia Newman, thank you for joining us from Havana.
And the seizure of Elian Gonzalez has prompted Miami police to open up a rumor control hotline. If you have, that should be Miami-Dade Police. If you have any questions, give them a call. The number's on your screen. It's 305-579-6184 or 579-6185. or 579-6186.
Our coverage of the Elian seizure and reunion with his father continues on CBS 4 News at 5:30. We'll kick off a week-long series of reports on efforts to heal the community fractured from the Elian saga. Then at 6 o'clock, find out what police are saying amid allegations of abuse toward protesters during Saturday's bouts of civil unrest.
A wild discovery on the waters of South Florida. Bales of pot. Nearly a dozen bales were found floating off Fort Lauderdale Beach by a passing ship. They were spotted about 5 miles east of Port Everglades. CBS 4's Julie O'Clair reports.
What began as a pleasure cruise for folks aboard a recreational boat ends with a big discovery. Hundreds of pounds of marijuana found floating in the ocean, and that's where the Coast Guard comes in. A Coast Guard crew examines hundreds of pounds of marijuana on the docks, plucked from the ocean earlier in unmarked feed bags, discovered by a group taking a pleasure cruise.
The Coast Guard received a report from a local recreational vessel out of Fort Lauderdale that they had found a couple of bales that they thought to be marijuana floating about 5 nautical miles offshore Port Everglades Inlet.
The call coming into the Lake Worth Coast Guard station, officials there immediately calling the Fort Lauderdale station to investigate.
We launched a couple of aircraft and also sent a couple of Coast Guard boats out there. We found about 10 bales so far of marijuana. They're small bales, and we believe at this time we've recovered about 600 to 700 pounds.
According to U.S. Customs statistics, 600 to 700 pounds of commercially grown pot could be worth nearly $700,000 and even more if hydroponically grown. Coast Guard helicopters and cutters searched the area for more bales or suspicious boats, but found nothing. At this point, it's believed the marijuana is not part of a larger shipment. The bales of marijuana have now been handed over to the DEA. Agents will investigate to try and figure out who the marijuana belonged to, where it was being taken, and how it ended up in the ocean. At the Coast Guard station, Julie O'Clair, CBS 4 News.
An emotional morning at the funeral of a Hialeah firefighter. There was a large funeral procession which went by the Hialeah Fire Department today, City Hall, and then on to Graceland Cemetery, where firefighter Orlando Mayor was buried. The 44-year-old firefighter was killed while on the way to work last week after an accident with a tractor trailer. It happened in southwest Miami-Dade.
A woman who lost control of her car ends up in a canal. Police tell us Linda Briggs missed a turn while driving on the property of the Beth David Memorial Garden Cemetery last night and drove right into the water. Luckily, she got out unhurt and walked home. Police found the empty car today and located Briggs at home. While on Wall Street, it was another wild ride for the tech stocks. When the closing bell sounded, the NASDAQ was down more than 161 points, bouncing back slightly from where it had been most of the day. This comes amid new concerns that the Justice Department's antitrust suit against Microsoft could force the computer giant to break up. But the blue chips haven't been feeling the impact. The Dow Jones closing up 62 points.
Spring storms leave behind a trail of destruction in 3 states. The system spawning high winds, hail, and damaging twisters. Pictures of the satellites just ahead.
The Space Shuttle Atlantis was scheduled for liftoff about an hour ago. We'll tell you why it's still on the ground.
In health news, the FDA approving a new drug to treat Alzheimer's. Find out when it'll be available and how much it'll cost.
Meteorologist Bob Soper here in Weather Control. We've still got some pretty nice weather, but there is some interesting weather on its way. Right now, it's causing all kinds of havoc from the Panhandle to North Florida. That same front that's causing that is on the way for us. I'll tell you what we can expect from that front in just a few minutes. Stick around.
You're watching CBS 4 News with Angela Ray, Steve Wolford, Jim Berry Sports, meteorologist Bob Soper, and storm specialist Brian Norcross.
If you want the satisfaction of driving South Florida's best-selling trucks, then you can't afford not to drive a Ford. Right now, get up to $1,500 cash back on your favorite Ford trucks. The four-door Explorer, the Built Ford Tough F-150, the Rugged Ranger, or the 5-star safety-rated Windstar. That's $1,500 cash back, the biggest cash back ever on South Florida's most wanted truck lineup. So get to your South Florida Ford dealer today and see why you can't afford not to drive a Ford.
They are mothers, fathers, daughters, and sons, everyday heroes who are living symbols of one inspiring and powerful idea, the American dream. Meet them every Wednesday on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather, brought to you by Fidelity Investments.
When you're buying or selling real estate, make sure you enter the world of Buy Owner.
I sold my home in less than 6 weeks, got the price I wanted, and saved over $6,000. Thanks, Buy Owner.
They do make a difference. We sold an apartment in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Buy Owner.
It was really easy. We sold our house in 3 months and saved over $6,000. Thanks, Buy Owner.
With Buy Owner, it's you that makes the difference. Call now.
Come on over, baby. Whole lot of going on. Run on over, baby. Baby, you can't go wrong. Hey, baby. Whole lot of going on.
Play Lotto with 2 chances at big jackpots each week, every Wednesday and Saturday.
There's a whole lot of going on. Yeah.
You're watching CBS 4 News, first at 5.
People in 3 southern states tonight are picking up the pieces after severe storms and tornadoes blow through. There was plenty of damage, but thankfully no loss of life.
Yeah, the tornadoes whipping up a storm of trouble in 3 states. Hardest hit were areas in Marshall, Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Shreveport, Louisiana. CBS 4's Jennifer Gould is in the Satellite Center with the details. Jen?
Well, Elliot, Easter Sunday was anything but calm for folks in those areas. The pictures tell the entire story. Mother Nature wreaked havoc on the region, leaving behind power outages, lots of damage, and dozens of people injured.
That's my home, and I don't have it.
Residents in Shreveport, Louisiana are lucky to be alive after several tornadoes tore through town on Sunday.
I was trying to get out, and it wouldn't let me get out. The wind was so strong.
Those winds toppled trees and crushed cars like this one buried under the branches. Authorities say when it was all over, dozens of lives were in ruins. Severe storms also hit eastern Oklahoma, tearing off rooftops, mangling mobile homes, and sending residents ducking for cover.
When we heard that, I sent the kids and my grandma and my girlfriend to the cellar.
Along with the heavy rains, in some areas authorities reported baseball-sized hails, but luckily no serious damage.
There was also storm damage in Texas and parts of Mississippi, and despite the mess, authorities say there were no deaths in the region. However, there were some serious injuries. Live in the Satellite Center, Jennifer Gould, CBS 4 News.
Thanks, Jennifer. There's been a delay in a space shuttle mission to repair and restock the International Space Station. This afternoon's liftoff was scrubbed because of high crosswinds at Cape Canaveral. Once it does take off, the shuttle will carry more than a ton of supplies and replacement parts for the station, which is experiencing problems with ventilator and power. It was awful windy here today.
Yes, as I was walking in, everything was blowing away. Bob Soper, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, we got that frontal system in the northern part of the state and the high pressure over us, and the atmosphere is starting to get the old big squeeze put on it by that combination of events. So we did have those gusty winds. Take a look outside right now. Our winds have gusted, as you see down there, second from the bottom, southwest of 21, but we've had a gust here as high as 28 miles per hour at CBS 4 Weather Control. 87 degrees anyway at Miami and Fort Lauderdale. You combine that with 48% relative humidity, feels like it's 87 degrees out there. So not only gusty winds, but it's warm out there. Radar, real-time radar showing nothing going on, but we think there'll be something to show you tomorrow. Hang in there, but don't leave home without your umbrella tomorrow. Over the last 9 hours, high detail satellite shows still Not a whole lot going on, just some fair weather clouds just blowing in off of the Gulf of Mexico from west to east. And here's that front. Boy, has it been a troublemaker all the way, as you noted, from Oklahoma right on down into the southeast, and now still problems in the panhandle over into North Florida. They've got severe storm watches out. We've got some slow moving warm air coming up from the south for us today, but then this front's going to be making its move on us. It's going to come right on down tomorrow and pull some showers and thunderstorms in, and then they should be on by. Anyway, here's our forecast. We're going to call for some clouds late. It'll be breezy, warm, and humid, low about 73. Then tomorrow, a few storms around, mainly passing clouds, windy and warm, high temperature 88 degrees. Small craft advisory is likely by tomorrow, wind southwest 15 to 20 knots. Seas up to 6 feet when you get well offshore, and it'll be choppy in the bays. Wednesday, lingering showers, and then it's going to cool off at night and be a nice, comfortable day. Thursday, about 80 degrees. Then it warms back up into the weekend. But not much chance of rain after we get by the next couple of days. Back to you.
Good to hear. Thank you, Bob. In health news tonight, the Food and Drug Administration has approved a third medication to treat Alzheimer's disease. It's called Exelon. While the drug does offer moderate relief, researchers say it is by no means a cure for Alzheimer's. Exelon should be in drugstores by the end of May, and we're told a 1-month supply will cost you at least $130. Baby talk may be amusing to you and your child, but too much of it can affect his or her speech.
Coming up in tonight's news, for Parents Report at 5:30, expert advice about teaching your child proper speech.
Also at 5:30, and babies make 7. We're going to introduce you to a couple who all of a sudden have 5 extra mouths to feed.
I'm CBS 4 entertainment reporter Jade Alexander. 5 babies is tough. Now imagine having 7 girlfriends. I'm talking to actor Tim Daly about his new movie, 7 Girlfriends, coming up in about 5 minutes.
It's Neil Rogers.
When you want to ask, I'll give you an answer. But when you're asking, I ain't answering. When you're asking, I'm running. Okay?
Neil Rogers, Dolphins, Marlins, Panthers, and now the Hurricanes. Exclusively on Sports Radio 560 WQAM.
CBS Tonight.
You've been drinking?
In one moment,
Breathe into the machine.
No!
a lawyer's future could be shattered.
You have the right to remain silent.
And what happens next
DUI, obstruction, resisting arrest.
I wasn't drunk.
could cost her everything.
You're looking at serving time.
And Stephanie Zimbalist is a bitter ex-wife who lied to get revenge.
When Carson was a baby, he slapped him.
But you won't believe where it goes from there.
Richard.
All new Family Law, CBS Tonight.
Breakthrough design. Superior cleaning. Extraordinary feeling. This is the revolutionary Oral-B cross-action toothbrush. Its unique patented crisscross bristles penetrate to lift out and sweep away more plaque than today's leading brushes. For the cleanest, healthy teeth possible, the cross-action toothbrush from Oral-B.
The Sun Sentinel presents the Friday Triple Thriller. The most thrills, spills, and gills we could pack into one day. Only in the Sun Sentinel, the official newspaper of the Fan.
It's Neil Rogers.
Talk about something that might mean something instead of your boring one-dimensional swill, okay, sir? People like you make me want to barf.
Neil Rogers, Dolphins, Marlins, Panthers, and now the Hurricanes. Exclusively on Sports Radio 560 WQAM.
You're watching CBS 4 News, first at 5.
I'm Jennifer Gould, and here's what we're working on for CBS 4 News at 5:30. Fire rips through a South Florida mansion, and tonight we are learning it is connected to the Jimmy Rice murder case. We are live with the story. A rude awakening for the occupants of this house after a car crashes through their bedroom wall and lands right on top of their bed. And we told you rumors about Microsoft being dismantled fueled today's wild ride on Wall Street. At 5:30, more on what you need to know, even if you're not invested in Microsoft. Those stories and a whole lot more on CBS 4 News at 5:30 in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Jen. You probably remember him best for his work on television, but actor Tim Daly is currently starring on the big screen.
He's so cute. His new movie is a romantic comedy called 7 Girlfriends. In tonight's escapade, CBS 4 entertainment reporter Jade Alexander gets personal with the actor about his movie and his career. Jade.
Oh, he is cute. You know, I was always jealous of Crystal Bernard. She played Helen on Wings because she married the brother that was not only the cutest, but he seemed so serious and so demure. That was not the case after this interview.
No, I don't want to be late.
Best known for his role as Joe Hackett on the TV show Wings, actor Tim Daly has also done theater, film, and cartoon voiceovers. So which does he consider a no-brainer?
Sitcom actor, because it is, I'm ashamed to say, the easiest and most lucrative job in the world, and one of the most fun.
Daly says being a sitcom actor is financially gratifying, but it's not always artistically satisfying. As for the roles he prefers to play,
being a bad guy is so much fun.
And you're probably so good at it.
I am quite good at it. But you know me. That's you know the real me.
Daly is currently on the big screen in the movie 7 Girlfriends, starring opposite Mimi Rogers, Jamie Gertz, and Elizabeth Pena. Working with that many women has got to be a tough job.
The actresses are so strong that basically all I had to do was show up, you know, and deal with what was in front of me. Kind of like you, Jade. You know? I don't have to do any research to do an interview with you. You kind of give me everything I need because you're feisty. You're good. She's good. Someone would put her on the radio.
This isn't your typical guy running from commitment movie either.
The unique thing about this story is not the fact that it's a guy who can't make a relationship work, but that he actually wants to try.
Does Daly's character get what he wants in the end?
Oh yeah, baby.
A committed relationship.
I get what I want.
You can check the movie out this weekend. Tim Daly was awesome in the movie. He's awesome in person as well. And let me tell you, this is the kind of movie to take the guy you've been dating forever that just can't take that last step.
Little step.
Yeah.
Well, you know who his sister is, Tyne Daly on Judging Amy. She doesn't look anything like him. Thanks,
Not at
Jay.
all. Yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Right.
I tip my hat to him. That's all I have to say. Well, you could say it was an exciting day today at the White House.
For President Clinton and for thousands of children coming up, we'll let you share in an Easter tradition. CBS 4 News at 5 coming right back at you. Stay with us.
My credit was downright bad.
Most companies wouldn't even talk to me about a credit card.
No one would give me a credit card unless I already had one.
Providian was the only company willing to take a chance on me.
It's such a relief to finally have a credit card. And the fees are easy to handle.
All I did was apply over the phone, and there it was.
Hey, I deserve this credit.
The Visa Classic Card from Providian. Apply right now over the phone and get up to $1,000 in credit. And you can earn even more credit after just a few payments. So call for your Visa Classic Card now.
The show E.T., the location San Francisco. Our mission, to be the only show to take you to the making of the Mission Impossible music video. Plus Tony Danza and celebrity psychic James Van Praagh. Next E.T.
Weeknights at 7 on CBS 4.
To an engineer, it's the freedom to question everything. To a designer, it's the freedom to explore new territories. To a company, it's the freedom to search for new ideas. And to the men and women who make up that company, it's the freedom to take a different road. To make a different statement. To take a different view. The freedom to be different.
CBS 4 Sports is sponsored by Dodge. In a perfect world, everything would be different.
Finally at 5, an exciting day at the White House. President and Mrs. Clinton hosted their last White House Easter egg roll today. Thousands of children took part in the annual event, which features races, clowns, balloons, and music. You'd think we had video of that, but I guess not. Several celebrities were on hand as well, including Robert De Niro, Y, and members of the band NSYNC. Well, we're all tired of me. Elliot and I will see you back here at 6. He's joining Jennifer Gould now for CBS 4 at 5:30.
Don't say that, Angela. Coming up next on CBS 4 News at 5:30, a house first made famous because of the Jimmy Rice murder case goes up in flames. We'll have a full report.
We're seeing new pictures of Elian Gonzalez from Easter Sunday. The latest on what comes next.
We're also taking a closer look at how this case is dividing our community. You may be surprised to hear what some of your neighbors are saying.
Plus, a car crashing through the roof of a home and landing on 2 people who were sleeping, and they lived to tell about it.
And we'll tell you why Microsoft may have to split its company in 2.
Ooh.
I'm Elliot Rodriguez.
And I'm Jennifer Gould. CBS 4 News at 5:30 starts right now.
Now, live. This is CBS 4 News at 5:30.
First at 5:30, a mansion goes up in flames, completely destroying it. But this house has been in the spotlight before during the Jimmy Rice murder case. Good evening. The house sits on the same property where Jimmy Rice's book bag was found, eventually leading to the killer.
Now this $500,000 mansion is making headlines again, but this time because of a devastating blaze. CBS 4's Phil Lipoff is live from Redland now with more. Phil.
Yeah, Jennifer, some of the fire crews are still on the scene nearly 6 hours after this fire began. When the first crews got here, they realized immediately this was a large fire. It was fast moving. They realized they were going to need backup, so they called for it. They also realized this house had an infamous past. The fire broke out before noon, and it was a fast one, spreading almost too quickly for the fire department.
Flames were shooting through the roof. The fire was spreading very rapidly. The main concern at that time was to contain the fire to that affected area and keep it from spreading to the main part of the home.
But that was really hard to do. With no hydrants in the area, no independent well on the 5-acre estate, fire crews had to call the third alarm and relay the water in.
Once the unit was running low on water, we'd use another unit to supply the water that we needed to try to extinguish the fire.
11 fire trucks and 3 emergency units finally were able to prevent major fire damage to the main portion of the home. But there is some heavy smoke damage to this house, which is certainly no stranger to media coverage. It was back in December of 1995. Police were led here to a trailer at the house where they found evidence that broke the Jimmy Rice case wide open. A man living in the trailer and working for the Shinehouse family confessed to brutally killing the 9-year-old boy. Juan Carlos Chavez found guilty and sentenced to death. Now, the good news with today's fire is the main portion of the house was saved. The family's not going to be allowed back in because of a carbon monoxide situation tonight. Crews need to clear it, give it the okay. The bad news is there were 2 dogs and a cat in the house. We're told they died in the fire, but no humans were home at the time. We're live in the Redlands. Phil Lipoff, CBS 4 News.
2 days after Elian Gonzalez was seized and brought to his father, we are seeing new pictures of the boy. In the second batch of photos released by Juan Miguel Gonzalez's attorney, we see the boy arm in arm with his father, having lunch and even playing soccer. The boy looking much different than when agents took him from his Little Havana home on Saturday. His South Florida family watched as Elian was whisked away in less than 3 minutes. Janet Reno has said she has no regrets about the raid. The boy was flown to Andrews Air Force Base outside Washington to be reunited with his father. These are live pictures of the base right now. CBS 4's Michelle Gillen has more from Washington. Michelle.
Well, Elliot, this evening there is some congressional concern over what actual impact there might be of the transfer of custody of Elian on the child's petition to request for an asylum hearing. The question, will anyone ever see that day in court? And does anyone outside of supporters in Miami really care? Well, some very interesting voices heard today in the nation's capital.
In Washington today, Americans are weighing in.
Senator Bob Smith's office, can you hold, please?
I'll pass along your message, and I appreciate your calling.
The senator agrees with you completely. I can hear the tears in your voice.
The phone lines flooded at Senator Bob Smith's office following his press conference yesterday with the Gonzalez family, where he condemned Saturday's raid and the Miami family's inability to have any contact with Elian, his father, or his father's representatives.
The ends do not justify the means. I don't care about all these pretty little pictures. You're not allowed to go see Elian. You don't get any cameras in there. Just one little camera being taken pictures, staged, and sent out so we can all see that Elian is happy ever after. Don't kid yourself.
As the calls continue in Smith's office, the majority weighing in against the raid, there is one phone call Smith hopes to receive late today, that from the Attorney General of the United States.
I've talked to Janet Reno yesterday. I talked to Greg Craig the day before that, and I pleaded with them to get something, arrangement where Marislaces at least and Lazaro could see the boy. I have not gotten a positive answer, but...
What did Janet Reno say to you?
She said that she would look into it and she would call me today, but I have not received a call from her as yet.
Meanwhile, Elian's former caretakers seem stunned today as they attempt to win congressional support for hearings looking into the raid and a plan to attempt to see the child.
Now I don't think that they could say that there is a risk. Juan Miguel is not in Miami. We are in Washington. We're in his territory now, and he shouldn't be frightened to meet with us.
Meanwhile, Senator Smith says he is concerned that before anyone outside the compound sees Elian, his request for petition for asylum could be withdrawn.
If they stay there long enough, he's a child, he's 6 years old. If they stay there long enough that maybe the child, when it comes to the time for the asylum hearing, he says, I'll stay with my father. That's the goal. This is not fair.
Now this evening, I'm told Senator Bob Graham is flying back to Washington, D.C. I look forward to speaking with him. I'll also be checking in with Senator Smith on whether or not the Attorney General does get back to him this evening. That and much more on the family's plans for the future and congressional reaction. And I'll speak to you tonight at 11 o'clock. Michelle Gillen reporting live from Washington. Back to you.
All right, Michelle, thank you. A fire breaks out at a Westchester supermarket where protests over Elian were being held. Crews were called out just after midnight to the Publix on Coral and 87th Avenue. Firefighters say a bunch of pallets were set on fire behind the store. They are calling the blaze suspicious but are not confirming if the fire was protest related. Miami-Dade police getting prepared in case they are needed. Our cameras caught several units around Miami International Airport. The officers are on guard and ready to go in case they are needed there or anywhere else in the county.
Jennifer, mixed reviews tonight about how federal agents pulled Elian from his Little Havana home Saturday morning. CBS 4 has asked you to voice your opinion, and this is what you're saying.
Yesterday, I saw for the first time my husband crying because he's ashamed of what this government did to this family. This is not the American government. This is the Cuban government, the communist government in this country working.
I do feel that a lot of people have forgotten that the feds were forced to do what they said. The uncle said, if you want him, come get him. So they did. This was a hostage situation for Elian.
I think how Janet Reno is being treated is very wrong because she gave them every chance to do the right thing, and they didn't do it.
I'd just like to say that I was very ashamed of what happened in Miami, the way they broke in, like these people were criminals, and I think our president should have done something else, a little quieter, a little bit more that wouldn't frighten those poor people in that house.
I approve exactly what the government did. They were coerced to doing this by the Cuban family. The people that came here to have freedom has caused a lot of trouble in this country, and if they're not happy here, they should go back to where they were.
Okay, that's just a sample of hundreds of viewer comments that we've received. This community is clearly split. You can tell when you listen to those comments. Now, CBS 4's Stacey Santos has more on the feelings that divide us. Stacey.
Elliot, the calls in this community are for reconciliation and for acceptance. Yesterday, the churches were packed for Easter Sunday. Pastors trying to channel this pain. Now other leaders are speaking out, but we all must remember this will take time.
Now, somebody said this is not a racist problem. 83% of the blacks voted against us. Why? What do they have that feeling about us when we have built this town since 1960?
I am sick and tired of the part of population, the Cuban population, that comes to this country, okay, and wants to change the country that gave them food.
Whether it's in person or through the airwaves, those here in South Florida want to be heard.
Señora Janet Reno.
But much of what is being said over the federal government's raid of the Little Havana home is divisive. Emotions are heated, and it can all be very hurtful.
It's too bad that there is hatred, and it's very difficult to heal hatred, because to heal hatred, the person has to heal from within, and I hope everybody starts doing that.
Community leaders are fully aware soothing voices need to be out there. Miami-Dade Mayor Alex Pinellas has already called for unity and meaningful dialogue. The African-American Christian clergy leaders are talking of not adding fuel to the fire by responding to the nasty charges against them, but instead to advocate tolerance and peace.
To go down there would be adding fuel to the fire. There has been a lot of negative comments said about us, that we're not here and we're not doing this and we might be siding with this. We chose not to respond.
Sure, Saturday's use of force to remove Elian brought unbearable heartbreak to an already pained people. But this doctor says the grief and anger being felt should be channeled much more effectively than what we saw in our Miami streets that afternoon.
By opening a dialogue with our neighbors, by talking to them in a calm voice, by explaining to them our grief rather than shouting at them, by behaving in a peaceful manner.
All right, now this is the first of a 5-part series we are doing on a community divided. To help with all this, we know of 2 events taking place. A meeting will be held at 7 tonight, Mayor Alex Pinellas' office for community leaders to find a way for South Florida to heal. Also, a candlelight march for reconciliation will take place, run by the Free Cuba Foundation. It will be at Miami Beach at 7 Tuesday night. Young and old will hopefully walk from 10th Street, they say, in Ocean Drive to the Holocaust Memorial. We're live in News Control. Stacey Santos, CBS 4 News.
Also on the same note, tomorrow there's a work stoppage planned in South Florida for anyone who doesn't agree with the way Elian Gonzalez was seized. There are several companies that plan to close tomorrow to participate in the protest. Now, Neighbors for Neighbors is compiling a list, and we'll have full information. If you have any questions, call them at 305-597-4404.
The seizure of Elian Gonzalez has prompted Miami police to open up a rumor control hotline. If you have any questions, give them a call. The numbers are on your screen right now. They are 305-579-6184, 305-579-6185, and 305-579-6186. The seizure of Elian Gonzalez has prompted Miami police to open up a rumor control hotline, as we said, and we definitely want you to give them a call. Also, numbers, as we said, 579-6184, 6185, and 6186.
Imagine sleeping in your bed when suddenly a car comes crashing through your roof, falling on top of you. That's what happened to one couple, and they lived to tell about it. We've got the amazing story.
Chaos breaks out at a construction site when 5 crewmen fall from a bridge platform into a raging river, and the results are deadly.
And Microsoft bracing for the worst as a judgment may force the company to split.
Meteorologist Craig Setzer in weather control. We've got a big trough in the jet stream headed this way. It's going to bring some changes to our weather. We'll talk about the specifics on those changes coming up.
You're watching CBS 4 News with Jennifer Gould, Elliot Rodriguez, meteorologist Craig Setzer, and storm specialist Brian Norcross.
Are you or someone you care for increasingly forgetful, repeating questions, or having trouble finding words? When these problems increase gradually and interfere with daily life, it may not be normal aging. It could be Alzheimer's disease. There is no cure, but today there's help, including Aricept, a once-a-day prescription medicine. Aricept is clinically proven to treat symptoms of mild to moderate Alzheimer's. Aricept is generally well tolerated, but may not be for everyone. People at risk for ulcers should tell their doctors because their condition may get worse. Some people may experience fainting. Common side effects are nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting. Others include insomnia, muscle cramps, fatigue, and loss of appetite. In studies, these were usually mild and temporary. So if you think memory problems could be Alzheimer's, see a doctor. Ask about the #1 prescribed medicine for Alzheimer's, Aricept. Medicine to remember.
Hello, I'm CBS 4's Lee Davalos. It's a hard fact to face. Many South Florida children are without the basic items they need to live. But you can help. You or your business can donate diapers, bottles, cribs, food, and other baby items. Please call Neighbors for Neighbors at 305-597-4404. CBS 4's Neighbors for Neighbors. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of these children.
The all-new 2000 Buick LeSabre. Re-engineered with more standard safety features for you and your family than any other car in its class. And exceptional fuel economy, too. Purchase a new LeSabre and get $750 cash back. See what makes LeSabre such a great value and why it's a Consumer's Digest Best Buy, a AAA Top Car Award winner, and America's best-selling full-size car 8 years running. Buick LeSabre with $750 cash back. Now at your Buick dealer.
This tarp marks a spot where a near tragedy happened at a home in Derry, New Hampshire. The couple in the house say it was an Easter miracle. A car went airborne and landed in their house right on top of them as they slept. Jennifer has the amazing story. Jen?
Well, Elliot, this elderly couple was sound asleep in their beds early Sunday morning when the roof came crashing down, followed by a car. Well, amazingly, they survived. Take a look.
We should be dead. We should be dead and we're alive.
Joanne Donovan and her husband Malin are truly lucky to be alive after surviving what some say is a miracle.
I've seen a lot of unusual things. This is probably at the top right now.
The Donovans were asleep in their bed Easter Sunday when the roof came crashing down on them, followed by this banged-up car.
I remember looking up and seeing the ceiling coming down at me. And then I heard someone saying, "Help, get me out."
That someone, police say, was Julie Savannah of Homestead. Police say she was driving along this stretch of road at speeds of more than 100 miles per hour when she lost control and hit an embankment.
Catapulted up in the air, over my wires, over my cars, and dove into her house.
The car then smashed into the roof right over the bedroom and right on top of the sleeping couple, the engine still running.